Welcome back to the Teach Coach Mentor podcast. Today I have Lindsay on from the Balanced Bureau, which we're going to talk all about today. Super excited about it. So, welcome on the show.
I'm so excited to be here and to have connected with you.
Yeah, so we met on the school platform, which if you haven't heard of it, it's amazing. Communities are just exploding all over the place. And I wanted to talk to you because you are a phenomenally interesting person. And more specifically, you're a coach, but then you're also working on becoming a licensed therapist. And as I understand it, you correct me if I'm wrong, like therapy is working through things that have happened in the past, and coaching is how do I get to where I want to go. And so you're like very unique, going to be very uniquely positioned to be able to help with both, which is super important. So would love to hear about your background, your journey, how you got to that, and anything else that you'd like to share on that front.
Well, you are not wrong. It is more so one or the other, and they don't usually coincide, but depending on what you're seeking help for is a good starting place to find the direction that you'd like to take.
Yeah.
And I personally got started in this from my own journey of surviving domestic abuse and then realizing that it was still lingering and it was really holding me back from my life. And I experienced chronic illness, and I was just sick of myself. So I
Mm.
started my own personal therapy journey, and within a few months I would log on, my palms were sweaty, I had a notebook full of questions and things I wanted to talk to my therapist about, but I would log on and she started coming to me with her concerns. And she goes, "You're meant for this work, Lindsay. Like you're hearing me differently, and there's something about you that I just want to talk to you about what I have going on." And I was like, "Okay, like what do I do with this?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Go ahead and get your life coaching cert so that way you can at least serve others without the licensure and all the extra stuff that comes along with becoming a therapist."
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I ended
Okay.
up coaching a handful of people here and there, and I did some workshops, and then I ended up speaking on stage because of my mission, and it's just
Yeah.
turned into something so much larger than I expected just from going for healing myself. And I feel like knowing that difference and that experience personally really helps me guide others that are on that same path of, I'm really sick of myself and I'm not sure why. So, really getting to that root and uncovering that really exposes a lot and helps you move forward in your life.
It's interesting because, we all have imposter syndrome and we all get down and get sick of ourselves, as you say. I kind of like that. And then it makes it really hard to help other people because I know if anyone's like me, and I know many people feel this way, you think, if I don't have my own shit together, sorry, for for the language, but if I don't have my own stuff together, how in the world am I supposed to help anyone else? And then you think about all the mistakes you've made and, the times in your life where you've been selfish or the times in your life where you definitely have not had it all together and you're thinking, who am I to tell this person what to do or how to do something? So, I think it's fascinating that you were born out of that. Your life coaching came directly from that, and it really does for many of us. So we're not telling you what to do because we know the right answer. It's because we did the wrong thing over and over and over again. You go, gosh, I got to stop doing that. I got to help other people stop doing that too, right?
Yep, there's those patterns, and awareness of those patterns can shift a lot, but at the same time, it doesn't have to. You don't have
Yeah.
to start coaching or therapy or any sort of guidance kind of help in your life to change everything. It's just to
Yeah.
move from something. And I love that you brought up imposter syndrome because it's something I worked on very much in a couple workshops.
Mm.
And my favorite thing about imposter syndrome is that it is just a syndrome, like you can get over it.
Yeah.
And when you shift your perspective around, like from who am I to I am me and that is enough, so many doors open for you in your life, and you can see your own gifts in a different light, therefore helping other people. So it's not just who are you, it truly is you are you, and that is your superpower. And I love to bring that perspective shift whenever I can because I
Yeah.
feel it's so needed.
I think people forget that too, especially in business and entrepreneurship, because you're trying to figure out who your client is and what sub niche they are, and you're trying to use language that's specific to them, and you just forget to be yourself for a minute, right? And a lot of most people are going to work with you not because your framework, although that needs to be good, right? Not because of your diagnosability and the crazy cool PDF plans you make, although that might be important too. But they want to work with you because of you, and you seem genuinely interested in helping them, and that you actually do help them, right? Whether it's kind of for free up front, or it's part of a program, or if it's in a workshop, or whatever it happens to be, right?
Yep, you just gotta own your gifts. And it
Yeah.
sounds a lot harder than it is, but it's just embracing that relationship that you can build with yourself and working on that. And there's so many different ways to do it.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot then, Lindsay. What are your gifts?
I just hear people differently. It's
Okay.
really weird to say, but I've heard my entire life, you listen to me.
Mm.
I recently shared because I'm in Entrepreneur of Impact competition, so I've been sharing more about like my journey a little bit on social media, but like 10 years ago, I was walking to the bathroom at McDonald's and this woman stopped me, originally to talk about my tattoo. I get a lot of conversation started from that, but she just dived into the problems that she was having with her life and her daughter, and I just stood there and I just listened.
Mm.
And for so long, I was like, that's not enough. That's not enough of a gift. Like anyone can listen, but no.
No, no, not anyone can.
Not
Yeah.
anyone can. I think that's why there's programs on how to build active listening. And I've just embraced it. I've embraced that
Mm.
I'm just a natural listener and I hear things differently. I don't know if it's intuition or just something in my brain that happens, but that is, I think, one of my greatest gifts is hearing differently. And I know it sounds so crazy and simple, but it is. It's one of my gifts. I think another thing is being resourceful. I have like this weird organization pattern in my brain to where it's like, you have a problem with something I'm not an expert in, but I know someone. And
Mm.
I just have this collection of people, like a resource kit that I can guide you to if I can't help you. I know probably know someone that could. So I think that's another
Yeah.
thing that I cherish about myself because I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have all the answers. I know someone who might.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm jealous of your innate ability to listen. That is something I have had to train as a coach. I come from a teaching background, and I love teaching, and I love talking, and I love public speaking, and I want to fix things. I think that's, maybe bit stereotypical here, but men, we like to just fix stuff, right? And as soon as that lady would talk to me in the past, the first thing I would want to do is to help her fix it. And that took a long time to train myself out of. That is not what, yes, people might want solutions. They might want paths, things to think about. But the first thing and foremost is they want you to hear them and they want you to understand them, right?
Yep, and you can just say, do you want advice on this? Do you want me to fix this, or do you just want me to listen? And
Yeah.
even like getting yourself to ask somebody that takes a lot of courage sometimes, but like think as they're talking, do they want me to fix this, or do they just want to be heard? And I
Yeah.
feel that's also something that ties in with when you're thinking about finding a coach or a therapist is that you do just want to be heard. And
Right.
sometimes hearing yourself gets a little redundant, or you only hear that critic and you just need someone else to hear you. So I think that finding someone that will just hear you is important in that journey.
It is super important. And the thing that was hardest for me was to shut off my own brain while someone was speaking, because I would be thinking about what am I going to say to this, and how, I'd be thinking about myself and not the person who's talking. So I don't know what you think. The best advice I got was to just be aggressively curious, as if you were on a first date, right? If you like, I know that's odd, but like if you're on a first date, the last thing you want to do is get caught off guard because she told you something or he told you something and you can't remember it now, right? So on a first date, you're like locked in and I need to remember every bit of this. And that has been hugely helpful for me. So I don't know what you think about that, but
That is interesting. I've never heard of that tidbit of advice, but I think that it would be helpful.
it works, it worked for me anyway. Don't tell the dudes I've coached that. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's great. So tell me about the Balance Bureau. I just want to hear about your practice, your business a little bit because you had a rebrand and you have your own podcast, and you're doing the therapy thing. There's so many things going on. So just tell me more about it. I'd love to hear about it.
There are so many things going on, and I feel like every day that goes by, like we just connected the other day, and I was like, yeah, well,
Yeah,
this is going on. And then I launched into like three other things since then, and what was that, just like 2 days ago?
it was. Yeah.
There's always something new happening over here with me. But the rebrand started because when I launched it, I was like, oh, it's about the little things in life. So I claimed Little Things Life Coaching
Mm-hmm.
to be like the brand name, and then I realized I'm not little. My mission is not little, and I am
Yeah.
not here to stay little. So I was like, okay, goodbye. Thank you for everything you've done, but
Yeah.
goodbye. And I brought in the Balance Bureau mainly because I do so much, but also I wanted it to cover the coaching side and the therapy side and bring it together, not to serve together, but to
Mm.
serve like in coexistence. And then also cover everything else that I am doing and bring in that perspective shift again on what balance even is. So I love to have people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm looking for balance in this. And I'm like, well, balance is something being equal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want work-life balance, are you seriously going to have life and work equal? I don't think you want that. I think what you're looking for is internal balance. So really getting inside and finding that emotional balance, how to feel your feelings and not let it mean something about you, and really bringing in balance and harmony to my clients in a different way.
Yeah. That's not an easy thing to do. I feel like especially kind of in the modern day, we feel constantly off balance and inundated and fast paced, and it's very difficult to slow down and do that. So how do you get someone to do that?
I like to start with the emotional piece because usually that's what's leading us and we aren't really sure. So, my favorite thing to do is EFT tapping. That's one of my go to tools. It's better than journaling, I think. It works as a partner, but if you start and you just kind of brain dump your what's going on and you pick out those emotions that you're feeling, you can label them, name them, see them, and then you tap through it in a specific way. It's like acupuncture almost on different meridian lines on your body. And you can bring in what you would like to feel and that ultimate goal of what you are looking for. So that would be the first way that I would guide someone to that balance because it resets your nervous system. And that's like what's leading us. So that's the key
Yeah.
point. It's more than just the mind, it's the whole body.
Okay. Who are you working with primarily? I mean, is it business owners, entrepreneurs, moms? What's your predominant niche that you're typically working with?
Typically, I have worked with women, business owners, and a lot of my clients have been male and they have suffered some sort of grief in their life.
Mm.
I've worked with pretty much all ages and all backgrounds. I'd like to say I'm a niche of no niche.
A niche of no niche. That's clever. I really like that. If that's not on your website, it totally should be. Yeah, yeah,
I might have to update it.
yeah. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's great. So, tell me about the shift into therapy then, and what you're learning there. Because you mentioned Balance Bureau covers both, but they're not simultaneous. So, someone who's coming in to work with you is not going to be getting therapy and coaching at the same time because it seems to me, and I'm no expert, but it seems to me they're two separate domains with different approaches and different practices and different solution sets. So, uh, how do you balance that? How do you decide what someone needs first? They come in and they want both, and you think, well, maybe we should get to the root of the issue first and do the therapy, and then maybe we can move into coaching. How do you keep those separate, and what is the difference in approach there?
Well, until I'm licensed, I can't even serve anyone as a therapist.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So that's that. So at least I
Yeah,
have
of
it
course.
covered for when I am licensed and it'll all be set up and ready to go. But
Yeah.
until then I can still use like therapeutic approaches
Yeah, of
and
course.
the things that I've learned I could apply. But I'm not going to sit here and diagnose somebody because I
Of
can't.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when I do get there, I do plan on really taking what they're coming to me with and what they're coming to me for, and then using that as the guiding compass. So if you're coming to me because you want to grow in your business, but you're an imposter syndrome, I can
Mm.
easily start you with coaching. But if
Right.
you're coming to me because you're stuck in your business because your dad pissed you off, like you said, 15 to 20 years ago, then
Yeah.
we can look into some therapeutic approaches to uncover that in a different way. But that coaching piece is more so the client leading the way.
Right.
And the therapy session is not just working together, but letting the therapist kind of guide a little bit more. So when you're going in for coaching, it's going to look like, I know what I want, I just can't get there.
Yeah.
Or I need some support to get there. And in therapy, it's like, I have no idea what's happening. Please help me and guide me. So
Right.
those are like a little
I'm
bit of
angry at my dad and I don't know why.
yes,
Yeah.
those are a little bit of the differences. But the problems that come up in therapy could be addressed if you have a very smart coach.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, very good. So, you mentioned you've got a lot of other things going on. So would love to hear about that too. Are those also entrepreneurial pursuits? Is it related to business or is it something else entirely?
Oh, I've been speaking on stages and I have quite a few more stages coming up. I recently did a mental health conference with Mr. Trauma Talks. It was incredible. I loved it. That should be up somewhere as a replay.
Great.
I'm part of a book anthology for the end of this year, which that's all about men's mental health. I'm very excited to
Hmm.
have a chapter in that. And then you and I were discussing me writing my book, and you're like, do it this way. So I immediately started drafting
Great.
the way
Yes.
that you suggested. So I'm excited to do that.
Amazing.
And then I'm also in that Entrepreneur of Impact competition currently that runs until May. I just made it to top 20 and I'm still in first place, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, can
Um,
I vote? Where do I vote?
yes, please, I'll send you the
Okay.
link.
Please do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's been so exciting. I started like a little coffee and vote club in Telegram just to keep my voters in there and be like my cheer squad. And then we do mini
Yeah.
mindset moments in there. It's so great. Like today, I asked them to share their win of the week. So
Mm.
every day, I'm like, we're in first place or we dropped a second. So it's like an update and a little bit of community there just to go along with the competition. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But my ultimate mission, and that's posted on the competition page, is that I am looking into building and leading a nonprofit. Has not been started yet, but that is my
Yeah.
ultimate next goal to start transitional housing for women and children fleeing domestic violence. So that is like the 5 to 8 year plan, and then I'm just writing and speaking along the way, and
Yeah.
it's been so much fun. I love what I do.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, whenever you have it established, let me know, and I want to be your first donation. So,
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
yeah, yeah, that would be super cool. Well, you know, I we could probably go on for a long time. I'd like to have you back on again, and maybe we can get into like some more details on mental health and especially because well, actually, let me follow up before we end it. I do want to go into you talked about mental health for men specifically, and I know you're a niche of no niche, but you know, you're writing this thing. So I don't know what brought you to that, and was it men that came to you, or was it, you know, what is it about you that they found that they could open up to you about or talk to you about, and then what are the kind of the general themes that you're seeing? Because I've had a couple of guests recently that actually specifically are in kind of the area of men's problems and men's issues. So what are you seeing from your perspective that maybe you could share with the audience here? Somebody might get them motivated to go get help, or you know, just understand, hey, you're not the only person going through this thing right now.
Yes, I love that question. So first, when the book is ready to be launched, I will update you with the link so we
Perfect.
can you can review it and have that preview of the manuscript because I think that's all in the program that I'm doing. But it's
Yeah.
going to be the Mastery Code, Volume 3 with Julie. She's incredible. But my chapter, I am going to highlight the art of introspection, and that will guide you through. It's going to be like a hero story of the one client that I worked with. Well, it's going to be a blend of the clients that I've worked with that are
Yeah.
men. But the leading
We're suckers for a
idea,
good hero story, right?
yes, the
Yeah.
leading idea is that you can listen to yourself, that it's safe to listen to yourself, and that you can hear yourself in a different way. And in my talk at the mental health conference, we were talking about forgiveness. And I said that it's okay to forgive yourself for listening to the tiny little devil on your shoulder
Hmm.
because like sometimes it gets a little loud and that's okay. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
something that men especially don't hear is that you can get quiet and hear yourself and it's safe to do it.
Mm.
So that's what I'm really bringing in the anthology and the art of introspection, which might even end up being something bigger than what I'm just writing, I think.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that I talk about a lot is like listening to yourself and facing that critic and facing that tiny devil on your shoulder in a way that's not beating yourself up. It's not self-loathing. It's loving yourself in a way that's different to support you further. So that'll be all on in that book and I think it'll come through in maybe a workshop or something too because I'm
Great.
feeling really called to that message to help other
Yeah.
people through it.
Well, I can't wait to read it. Yeah, for sure. Well, very good. So, in the meantime, where can people find you? Whether it's to work with you or just follow your work and see you on stage and read your books. Where should I send people to go?
I usually hang out on Instagram at the Balance Bureau. I just have the little underscores in between the words. But that's where I mainly hang out. I am
Great.
over on everything else, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty active on Instagram, so that
Perfect.
would be the place to connect.
Well, we'll make sure that it's linked in the show notes. And Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to being on your show again.
Yeah, perfect. Bye.
See ya.